Congratulations.
Okay. It's a great day for Rotary. With that said, I would like to move us back to our Rotarian of the Day, Mr. Dean Hayes.
Well, thank you very much. Thanks for the opportunity to bring the program today. It's my privilege to bring Kerri Petersen this afternoon. She's the general manager at Textron Aviation Independence, and she has been very busy since she arrived in December of last year and took over the role there. And so this is her first opportunity to share with a civic organization like us since she's arrived, and we're delighted to have you here, Kerri. Kerri has made her career at Cessna and Textron Aviation. She began in 1992 as an accounting associate. Spent 13 years in finance in various roles of increasing responsibility. She entered the Textron Six Sigma training program and got a certification at the black belt level in that program with an emphasis on lean manufacturing. And with that additional experience and her continuous improvement focus, she was given the opportunity to run our components manufacturing facility in Wichita, and that's kind of like herding cats, I think. Anyway, because they have thousands of processes and tens of thousands of parts that they process there for all of the jet models. She has made her residence here in Independence. She lives here with her husband J.D. and her two daughters, Tyla, who is at K-State, and Taylene, who is an 8th grader in our public schools here. So please welcome Kerri Petersen.
First, I want to thank Dean for his invitation and bringing me here today, so it's always a pleasure. That's kind of a tough act to follow, though, Bob, so hopefully I can compete, but I doubt it. Congratulations to you. So first off, I want to ask you guys if you are aware that we have recently, when I say recently, it was about 18 months ago, underwent a name change out at Cessna Independence. So we became known as Textron Aviation back in March of 2014. So like I said, it's about 18 months ago. So what I really want to do is kind of start off and talk a little bit about the Textron family. Maybe. There we go. So the Textron family is actually a huge organization that is a global organization. It includes famous brands such as Bell Helicopter, E-Z-Go Golf Carts, Caltex, that's a manufacturer for car components. Lycoming engines, we actually use Lycoming engines on our Cessna products that we use here at Independence. Textron Systems, which includes AAI and Textron Marine Land Systems. And then, of course, we've got Jacobson. And Jacobson is actually where Lily went. She was the previous general manager at the Cessna Independence location. So as you can see, it's a very broad organization with a lot of opportunities and very diverse. There's approximately 32,000 employees across 25 different countries within the Textron family. So why am I talking about Textron Aviation? For us, it was a very instrumental and a very key part of our very recent history. Essentially what it's doing is it's reuniting Clyde Cessna and Walter Beach. For most of you down here in southeast Kansas, you guys are probably not as aware of that story as we are in Wichita. But these two were actually partners back in when they originally started. So 80 plus years ago. So they have essentially started the very first airplane company together. Cessna liked high-wing aircraft. Walters liked low-wing aircraft. So thus the split and the two different locations. So it's very exciting to put those two products back together in the same family. This acquisition was completed, like I said, in March of 2014. And we've been undergoing a significant amount of integration with the two companies, trying to make sure that we take advantage of the opportunity and eliminate duplicate processes, establish some cost synergies, and of course capitalize on best practices. We've gained a lot of leverage through that. We are stronger together. It's expanded our product line, and I'll show you that here in a minute. And one of the most key significant items on that is we are one of the last U.S.-owned general aviation companies. So most other companies have some international presence within them, so we are very proud to say that we are made in American type products. And then, of course, I've already spoke to the cost reduction opportunities. As far as Textron Aviation, this is kind of what the two companies look like together. Cessna was established in 1927. Beech was established in 1932. It literally doubled, and I shouldn't say doubled, but it significantly increased our customer base. We have almost 200,000 aircraft in play from the Cessna side, and that is on the piston side of the aircraft. And then, of course, 6,100 plus citations or jets. On the Beechcraft side, there's 54,000 plus piston type aircraft on their side, and 2,000 plus Hawker jet customers. So their jet market was significantly smaller, thus the reason that it brings a good product line into perspective. In addition to that, Beechcraft also had the #1 seller from a turboprop in history. So if I switch over to Textron Aviation and I talk about where are we currently located, you can see that we are pretty diverse from a manufacturing facility. Of course, our corporate headquarters is in Wichita. In Wichita, we have what's called the West Campus, which was originally Cessna Aircraft. We have the East Campus. That's originally the Beechcraft campus. We also have an interiors manufacturing facility that we recently purchased at the beginning of this year. So it was known as PPI, formerly owned by UTC. Of course, we have the McCully, Georgia plant. That's where our propellers for our single-engine aircraft come from. The Independence facility, and then, of course, the Chihuahua, Mexico facility. So you can see that we are centrally located within Kansas, but a few diverse locations. In addition to this does not represent all of the service centers that we have located throughout the entire U.S. and internationally. Here's what our product line looks like. From a product line perspective, anything that's boxed in orange, we currently produce those here in Independence. Most of our larger jets are produced on the West Campus, and then, of course, all of the Beech products are located on the East Campus. As far as the Beechcraft acquisition, it added those top 5 aircraft in that column to our product line, these 2 piston aircraft, and these 2 military aircraft. So you can see that if you're looking at size, it's a great complement to what already existed. This allows our current customers to jump from the products we produce into a different turboprop, which is then a great stepping stone for our jet line. So that was another advantage to the integration, is that it expanded our customer base significantly. So let's talk a little bit about Cessna Independence. So today we do have a 2-shift operation out at the plant. We employ more than 500 employees. In 2014, we had over 1 million labor hours worked at the facility, so that's pretty significant. We delivered 225 single-engine airplanes, and we delivered 54 jets. I would tell you that for 2015, we're on target to exceed that slightly. And if you look at our total deliveries for this facility alone, we've delivered over 10,000 single-engine airplanes, so that is very significant. We've delivered 535 jets. And from a jet perspective, we did not start delivering those until the almost 2009 timeframe. So pretty significant volume in a very short time period. So what do we do at Independence? So it's all about airplanes. We assemble airplanes, we paint airplanes, we do the interior fabrication. In other words, we build most of the interiors that go into our airplanes. Do that installation. Flight test. You have to go and fly every airplane before we can deliver it to make sure that it is a quality and a safe product. And then lastly, we deliver. And we deliver all models that we produce. Today we produce 3 single-engine models, a TTX, that is our composite airplane. It's also known as our sporty airplane. And then, of course, the Mustang and the M2. The Mustang was the first jet that was produced outside of the Wichita corporate headquarters. So that was very exciting for this part of the world. So here's an aerial of what our facilities currently look like. We operate out of 5 buildings. I believe it's about 213 acres, and we've got 500,000 plus square feet of manufacturing availability to us. I'm going to kind of give you a little more detail into each of those buildings. So from an assembly facility perspective, and that would be this largest building here. It's the northernmost building. We have 3 production lines there. We have all single engine high wings. They actually run down 1 model line. We have the jet line. The jets run down 1 model line, and the TTX. So today it currently takes about 32 days to build a single engine high wing piston. And that's literally from a piece of sheet metal to flying out the door with the customer. From a jet perspective, on the M2, that product's moving a little better, so therefore we're building it faster. It takes 76 days to build one of those, and it takes 144 days to build a Mustang. The Mustang is the smallest of all jets within our corporation. And then the TTX, it takes about 50 days. So on the TTX, that one's a little unique. That one is our one and only composite aircraft. We actually only do from fuse mate forward on this airplane. The fuselage and the wings are actually built in Mexico and shipped to us. So the life on that airplane is actually significantly longer when you take into account the manufacture of the fuselage and the wing. And then assembly takes about 285,000 square feet available. From a paint perspective, we're pretty proud of our paint facility. We can do all kinds of things in paint. Of course, we start with what we call our sand and fill process or prep process, and that's where you see the green primer going on. We've recently been dealing with a lot of corrosion issues, especially on our European airplanes. It requires a special type of primer to prevent that corrosion from occurring. We currently have changed that process, trying to attack that issue that we're dealing with customers. Down here you can see how we are starting to what we call mask an aircraft. In other words, provide ability for us to customize our airplanes. So right now, this is our latest and our greatest. So I'm going to hope that none of you guys know this owner of this airplane, because this owner has not seen this airplane yet. This is a custom paint job that they designed. It is actually still in our shop today. He will not be here until next Friday to pick this airplane up, but the paint shop is pretty proud of that one. Very elaborate and complex paint scheme. So one thing to note is you can see this guy down here. They're literally laying those things out by hand. So if you can imagine what it took to put those 3 different colors on that airplane, it's pretty exciting to see the finished product. And then, of course, this is our paint building. This is the building on the southeast corner of the campus, and there's about 95,000 square feet available in that location. Here's our flight department. This is the one that's actually located on the ramp. This is where all of our airplanes go once they've been painted, and this is where we install our interior and prepare them for flight. Right now, our hangar looks a lot like this. We have a lot of business that happens at the end of the quarter, and next Friday is the end of third quarter. So we are busily preparing airplanes to ship out next week. And then last but not least, Customer Delivery Center. So this is where our customers focus, and this is where they actually take delivery from. We have actually had visitors from about 65 different countries at our location. We've had some fairly famous people that have come in. A couple to note were Donnie Osmond. Donnie Osmond's been at our customer center and in the city of Independence. Greg Brady. From the Brady Bunch. He's been in, and there were a few others that have been in also. So it's always a great sight to see the customers come in. We do have a lot of repeat customers. A couple of our largest customers are Embry-Riddle Aeronautical College. They're located in Prescott, Arizona and Daytona, Florida. They probably have more of our airplanes than any person out there. And second to that would be the Civil Air Patrol. We supply a lot of airplanes to the Civil Air Patrol, and they all require custom paint jobs, which we're getting really good at. And then, of course, here's just an example of some aircraft deliveries. And you can see that the environment is clean. We try to really roll it out for the customer and make it a customer experience for them. They are buying a rather expensive product, so they kind of expect rather expensive tastes. So we're always working to make sure that the customer experience is a pleasant one. So from a demographic perspective, just a few quick facts for you. You can see that in 2002, about 91% of our total employee base lived within a 12-county region, compared to today, where it's about 87%. Another known fact is back in 2002, 59% of the employees did live in Montgomery County, and 40% of those had an address that had an Independence address. 2015, 66% of our employees live in Montgomery County, and 66% of them have an Independence address. So I just kind of thought I'd throw a few pictures up here of what the timeline looks like. So in 2016, we will be celebrating our 20th year here at Independence. So right now we're trying to plan what that celebration looks like. I'm not going to cover all of these with you, but I'm just a few of them. Of course, our grand opening was in 1996. In 2001, we had delivered 3,000 airplanes. 2004, we announced that we were bringing the Mustang to Independence, and then we rolled that first Mustang out the door in early 2006. As we continue that path, our first Mustang delivered in 2007. 2007 was a busy year because at that point we celebrated another milestone on the single-engine high-wing side. At that point, we had delivered 8,000 airplanes. 2009, we brought the TTX to Independence. So this was previously built in Bend, Oregon. So that was good news for us. Trying to think of some of the other things to bring to light. One of the things that we are very proud of as Cessnans is the American Patriot airplane. The American Patriot airplane is used today by the Veterans Airlift Command Center, and we fly veterans from all over the United States to destinations that they are required to make sure they meet any of their medical needs and that type of thing. We focus a lot on wounded veterans and allow them to get to places easily to make sure they can meet up with their families. So that is something that we are very proud of as Cessnans as we continue to focus on our veterans. 2014, we celebrated our 10,000th single-engine delivery, so that was pretty significant for us. I'm going to back up a little bit, and the M2 was announced in 2012, and we received certification on that airplane in late 2013. So that's kind of what the timeline for Independence, Cessna Independence, looks like. So from an employee engagement perspective, we try to keep the employees active. Our most recent activity is we had an ice cream truck come visit us before Labor Day. So the employees liked the ice cream truck. We gotta spin it up a little bit, make them have fun. So we like to have fun out at Cessna. So from a community involvement, what do we all support? Of course, we continue to support the Community Chest here in Independence. We are a supporter of Neowalla. Big Brothers Big Sisters, we contribute to that. And then we've got various and sundry fundraising activities that happen throughout the year for different organizations. We do host the hometown holiday. Sorry, I get them confused with what the one in Wichita is called. So we do have the hometown holiday dinner every year. I believe this year will be our 11th annual dinner for that. In addition to that, we are members of Main Street, the Chamber of Commerce, the Rotary, and the Montgomery County Action Council. And that's really all I have. You guys have any questions? Yes, sir.
Why does it take twice as long to build a Mustang as an M2?
The demand for the Mustang is significantly lower than the M2, therefore we don't produce as many. So we produce, what we do is we try to space out what we build through the course of a year. So if we want to build 12 Mustangs in a year, it's going to take approximately 30 days in the factory and then the remainder outside of the factory. So it's all based on demand.
Do most of your employees arrive already up to speed on what you need to do, or do you have to do a lot of in-house training?
We do a lot of in-house training. So currently we had a new class start the Tuesday after Labor Day. It's typically a 4-week class if they're going to work on sheet metal, and they have to pass that class at the end of 4 weeks. We will not just allow them to go to the shop floor. From a paint perspective, we do actually let them go straight to the floor because it's hard to learn painting without actually painting on an aircraft. But they are in training for about 9 months before we allow them to actually spray paint on an aircraft. So,
Kerri, I think a lot of people still don't understand that as far as number of planes, you still build more planes in Independence, Kansas than any place in the world. Is that not correct?
So when you look at the longevity of the course of time, yes, we have produced more aircraft in Independence, Kansas than anywhere else in the nation.
Whose jet was that?
Whose jet was that? So I think I'm pretty safe to say it was Larry King, but not the Larry King. That's the first question. Is it the Larry? Nope, not the Larry King. So.
What can the people in the city of Independence do to continue to make this a desirable place for Cessna to do business?
So I would say that there's a couple things, and the first one, which is why I was very excited to meet Rusty and hear that he's interested in partnering with us, is we have got to develop a skilled workforce that's interested in entering manufacturing. Right now we struggle to find a skilled workforce. So like I mentioned earlier, we had a new class start the Tuesday after Labor Day. Typically we like to have 10 people in that class. We were only allowed to put 7 in there because they failed their drug test. So in addition to that, over the course of the last year, we have actually terminated 16 different people because of performance. And those would have been people that had less than 90 days behind them. So I can tell you that I believe we have hired, I'm trying to get the numbers right in my mind, we've hired 63 people and we've lost 47 people. The majority of those 47, I would tell you, is because of performance. So making sure they have that skill and that knowledge base to be able to perform in the workforce is really something that we need to continue to focus on in this area. The other thing is that in order for us to continue to expand a work base here in the Independence location, we've got to understand that if we were to put a new model here, do we have the right selection of people to pull from? And when I'm looking at the numbers that we've looked at over the last year, that story is hard to tell. I didn't need to dampen the mood there.
Okay.
Any other questions?
All right. Well, Ms. Kerri, thank you very much.